Hey there, everyone. I'm Veronica Edwards, a full-time realtor located right here in Central Florida. And I'm bringing you today another top interview, a great guest, one of my favorite. I'm bringing you Tim Pollard. He's with First Bank located right here in Central Florida. Hey, Tim, glad to have you here. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Absolutely. Good morning, Veronica. I appreciate you having me today. And, I always love working with you. I am a father of five. I live here in Central Florida. I've been in the mortgage business for almost 20 years, anywhere from owning my own company to now working for First Home Bank. And I am, my true love is getting people into a house. It's just it's an amazing thing, especially first time home buyers, but just seeing people get into to a new home it's an amazing feeling.
And I see that a lot when I work with you on some of our deals. Your true passion does show through, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how much money does someone need to put down to get a home?
So this varies depending upon the product that you are seeking. And obviously there's a few different products that are tailored to specific groups or areas of where you might be looking. So with a VA home or a VA loan, you require no money down, but again, you have to be a vet, which means a veteran, somebody that's either currently serving or has served in the military.
Correct.
There's USDA lending, which is also 100% financing, but it's limited to geographic area. So you have to fall in a specific area based on census tract that is deemed as a rural area. And at that point, you can actually get 100% financing, no money down. It's a great product, and it's on par as far as rates go and pricing goes with VA and FHA, which are all very competitive and are usually geared towards first-time home buyers or home buyers that are looking to get into a modest upgrade. As I just mentioned, FHA, that's a 3.5% money down, and that can come from gift, which is family member, but it is required 3.5% come from somehow from the buyer.
Okay.
We have conventional products which require anywhere between 3 and 5% down. And that's usually geared towards people with exceptional credit, people that are a bit more versed in buying homes. Maybe this is their second, third, fourth home. And it requires, like I said, it's still a minimal down payment, but there's less mortgage insurance than with FHA. Again, we're talking about it just depends on the type of product that you might qualify for. But in a nutshell, anywhere between 0 and 5% will get you in a house.
Good. So we can smash that. You don't need 20% down for sure.
Correct.
So
Correct. 20% was that's kind of a myth. A lot of people come to me and say, I want to buy a house, but I don't have the 20% to put down.
Yes,
you do not need 20% to put down.
Good. And that's the message I definitely wanted to get out there. Also, how about credit? I get a lot of people, they think their credit's not good enough. Do you need perfect credit?
So perfect credit, obviously, the better the credit, the more products available, and usually the better the rate. But as I mentioned earlier, there are products geared towards people that are just getting into the home market that usually don't have perfect credit. And that, that allows for a wider variety of people buying homes, which is what we're going for. We want to service the entire community. And so usually anywhere from a 620, which is a good credit score, all the way up through 850 are people who are able to achieve or able to get a mortgage. So you do not need perfect credit. That is a myth.
Good. And that's a great rule, like around 620. Let's get going here.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. And there's so many ways to monitor your credit nowadays. Those tools weren't available 5-10 years ago. So it really is a better marketplace now than it's ever been for people that may not be able to get credit or yet to soon be able to fix themselves and get into a house.
Yes, that's the goal. Now, I know there's a lot to the qualifying, but can you, like in a nutshell, go over how someone does qualify for a loan?
Sure, sure. It all starts with an application. Applications are either done online, as a lot of the millennials like to do. They prefer to do something online versus over the phone. But it can be a 10-minute conversation with me or a 10-minute application online. In that instance, we ask for you to be as accurate as possible when representing your numbers as far as income and assets. We do pull your credit, so that way we can see exactly what your credit score is, and we're able to give you a ballpark idea as far as what you can afford versus what you make and how you're going to spend it. So obviously, almost always, 99% of the time, a house payment is going to be your largest expense. And in that instance, we want to make sure that you're not just comfortable, not that just you can afford the payment, but that you're comfortable with it.
Oh, okay. Very good. That makes sense. And speaking of the loan process, how about average, how long is your loan processing time from start?
So from start to finish, alpha to omega, from the time that I take your application and we have a house to the time that we are clear close, my average time is 23 days. Now that's
great.
That's pretty good in this industry, especially now because there's so many people in the marketplace for a house. A lot of lenders are kind of inundated with business. Now, on the refinance side, obviously that takes a little bit longer, but with the purchase side, that takes precedence because we know those are time constrained deals. We want to make sure that everything goes well and that we get you in the house according to plan. Buying a house is hard enough. We want to make it as easy as possible on you.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think having the right team is vital in that aspect, because I've heard horror stories where the wrong realtor shows the wrong houses. And that's where you are so great, because you take so much time and compassion for your clients. And the right lender has to be working as well, because obviously that is an integral part of the home buying process. And so if you've got somebody that might be backlogged or isn't up to date on what's happening, or doesn't have a complete grasp on how the title company's working, how the appraisers are taking time to get out there, then there can be some major delays. And so again, I think having that right team behind you is a vital aspect of buying a home.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And I think you just explained some great reasons why that's true. And during this pandemic we're going through, has much changed with the lending? And if so, what are some of the major highlights? Or is it?
So lending has gotten a little bit more constrained because of the pandemic. And a lot of that is due to I would say the instability in the market. And it has more to do with people losing their jobs or not making as much income, being on furlough than anything. And so most of the new guidelines have come in relation to people going into furlough, coming out of furlough, people having requested payment deferral or deferment in the past. And so obviously if they want to buy a new house, but they've deferred payments in the past, we have to make sure of certain things. So again, most of it's just related to the instability in the job market. But on the credit side, it's gotten a little bit tighter. It used to be a 580 minimum score for FHA, and most lenders, in fact, almost all, have gone to 620 just because of the risk layer associated with those lower credit scores.
I completely understand. Yeah. So I know you touched on this briefly, but would you mind elaborating a little bit more on private mortgage insurance, and does everyone have to have it?
So private mortgage insurance is something that kind of reduces the risk layer to the lender ourselves. So obviously with lenders, the lower the risk layer, the better rate we can provide and the more products we can provide. The higher the risk layer, which means the riskier the loan is to us, usually the higher the rate might be, or the less products might be available to you. So When you're talking about anything over 80%, that's when mortgage insurance is required.
Mhm.
Anything under 80%, there is no mortgage insurance required. Now, again, there's certain parts of or loans that are excluded from that, like VA loans.
Mhm.
They do not have mortgage insurance, and they're well over 80%.
Right.
But FHA has a mandatory um, mortgage insurance that's added into the loan, and it is now permanent with FHA loans.
Okay.
That's the benefit of if you can go a conventional and you do
Mhm.
have to go over 80%, that mortgage insurance can be removed depending upon the mortgage insurance company, and anywhere between 12 and 24 months if you request a new appraisal.
That is great too. So another great tip. Well, this has been really wonderful. I really appreciate you taking some time. If anyone has any questions or are looking for your services, what would be the best way to reach you?
So I try to make myself available 24/7, but
Okay.
it's not always possible with 5 children. But my cell phone is always on me, as almost everybody's is. So my cell phone, 407-616-1470. You can call me anytime. You can also text me at that number, or you can email me at tim.pollard, Pollard, at firsthomebank.com. And I am like I said, readily available at any given time, because I know that a
Uh-huh.
lot of people aren't able to do the loan process from 9 to 5. That's when they're working. So
Mhm.
sometimes, a lot of the time, you have to be available after hours or on weekends. And especially, you're showing homes majority of the time on the weekends. And so
Yes.
they want to know, what would this house cost me? What would
Yeah.
my total payment be? What would my down payment have to be? And so I make myself available on the weekends to make sure that we get those numbers to you, so that the buyer does have an informed opinion of whether they can afford the house, and then they can make an offer as quickly as possible.
And I can testify for that. And many of my buyers have absolutely love it, which reminds me, I have another buyer coming your way. I'll be sending over shortly. But
Woohoo!
thanks again, Tim. Sure to appreciate this time. And I'll be talking to you soon.
Veronica, I'll do anything. You are the best of the best. It is my pleasure and honor to work with you, and I appreciate you giving me the chance to talk.
Awesome. Y'all have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.